Welcome to Wednesday. It's December 9th, 2020. Well, I'm happy to report that I actually have something to talk about today other than just all this nice weather. I know it's been really nice. I know a lot of you enjoyed it. You've got one more day to do it. Then it's back to reality, back to a colder weather pattern. So enjoy today. Today's temperatures will be far above average. We'll have a lot of sun. We'll have a little bit of a wind today, especially in the wind-prone areas of Wyoming, but overall for December, really nice. The snow chances are looking good for many areas Friday and Saturday. This is by no means a big snow event. I'd call this a typical snow system for December. December really doesn't bring big snow to the plains in December. This is a system that will bring light to moderate snow, but many areas will see snow. You'll get to see what it looks like. If you forgot what snow looks like, well, you're going to have a chance. The good news remains for the high country. I think the mountain areas of Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho, northern Utah's mountains, all will get back into the swing of things with the mountain snows returning with greater frequency. So good news for the snowpack skiers and snowmobilers. We'll spend a little bit of time. I'll show you that. Also, we've got a strong and active northwest flow developing for the rest of December, and that's why we think the mountain snows are going to really be picking up. Here are temperatures today relative to normal for our part of the hemisphere. Look at that. These are temperatures from Alaska through Hudson Bay, all the way up here. Anywhere you see red here or orange, you've got above average temperatures. Wow, it's warm everywhere. So you're wondering, well, how is this all going to change so quickly? Well, we know the weather changes very quickly, and we're going to see this all come to an end. So here's your warmth for one more day. This due to a broad area of high pressure that remains overhead today, but you can see it's getting beaten down. This little guy right here comes in tonight and tomorrow. Doesn't look like much, but this is enough to bring in colder Canadian air. This is the system that's going to be producing the snow for Friday and Saturday. Here it is. The low drops down into Wyoming, northern Colorado by Saturday morning. Now, the low could end up here. It could end up a little bit further south, but the question of will it get colder and snow a bit, that's answered. It will. But at the low, if it ends up more north like this, the heavier snows will probably be somewhere around here. If it goes more south like here, the snows may be more focused along the Colorado and southeastern Wyoming front range. But everybody's going to get colder regardless of the track of this system, and everyone's got a little bit of snow. Keyword, little bit. Don't want you to get too excited about the snow, but at least we're going to see some. Temperature-wise, by Saturday, well, look at the difference. Now, if I go back to where we are today, to where we are Saturday, there's a lot more blue and green coming in, and look at this cold up here that's coming on in. All of a sudden, areas that are much above average temperatures will get a lot colder. Now, when you're 20 to 30 degrees colder than normal in this part of the globe in December, that's cold. So things are changing up north, and that's going to have an impact later on in our forecast. This is through Saturday afternoon, and you can see that there's actually a little bit of snow on the plains. You can see the pinks up in the high country. I wouldn't call this a big snow event, but it's going to be enough to change things up a little bit. In the high country, we'll get some snow, so you skiers will have some fresh snow to ski on this weekend. And enough snow will fall on the plains to be a nuisance for traveling along I-25, I-90, and along I-80 Friday into Saturday. So keep that in mind if you're going to be traveling I-70 across Colorado as well. Now, as we get into Sunday night, Monday, another system comes in. This is the weekend system already moving through. Here's another one, and here's that vortex of cold air that's building up around Hudson Bay, northwest of Hudson Bay. That is really, really cold air. Watch what happens as we go forward with this air mass. As we get into next Friday, 10 days out, you can see the really cold air actually kind of retrogrades more west, and you can see it's pushing a little bit more south into the region. And notice a strong northwest flow is coming off the Pacific, through the Pacific Northwest, and into the central and northern Rockies. This is the flow that tends to pump the snow into the high country. And that's what we see all the way out to Christmas Eve. All the way through Christmas Eve, that northwest flow continues, and here's that cold air sinking further south. See it going south over time? See this up here? You can't quite see it, but there's another really big cold air mass up there. So we're going to keep an eye on things going on up here, because when you're in a La Nina, a lot of times what will happen is you can really shift gears and have a high variability in temperatures, quick changes in temperatures during the La Nina season. And as we go forward, that is something that really could play a role at the end of December into early January. Now, here's what I talked about at the beginning of the podcast: the mountain areas getting back into the snow. So we don't want to give up on our snowpack. We don't want to give up on our skiing and snowmobile season. It's just off to a late start. This is over the next 15 days, and you can see the major higher terrain areas of the Intermountain West and the Pacific Northwest and even the Sierras get back into the action because of that northwest flow. Cold, moist northwest flow is a great way to make it snow in the high country in the northern and central Rockies. And you can see that we do have some snow and rain chances, mostly snow chances, moving out on into the plains as well. So we have not seen this in 2 or 3 weeks, to where we've got a pattern that's going to come off in like a pipeline off the Pacific into the northern and central Rockies. So this is all the way up through December 24th. So by Christmas time and by New Year's, there should be a lot more snow on the mountain slopes, your cross-country trails, and your snowmobile trails. Now, taking a look at the 15-day average precipitation, I want to show you something. Anywhere you see green or blue here, this is above average potential for snow and rainfall across North America. What I want to show you is that the Pacific Northwest, Western Canada, and the Central and Northern Rockies, especially the higher terrain, because of that northwest flow, do see the above average precipitation potential for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Look at the La Nina chart. Now, we've shown you this chart before. Your average snowfall patterns in La Ninas, above average snowfall tends to fall in this area here because of those strong, moist north jet stream winds. That's exactly what the long-range modeling is suggesting as well. So when you see the modeling beginning to match up with your normal tendencies in a La Nina pattern, well, that gives you a higher degree of confidence in the long-range forecast. And this is something I talked about earlier. La Ninas go from mild spells to Arctic spells. So we're going to segue from this very mild spell that we've had into now to one that'll be colder. Now, is it going to be bitter cold Arctic air coming in? We do not. I repeat, we do not see that yet for the next week, although it certainly is going to be trending colder. But we're going to be keeping an eye up here for the release of some of that colder air at the end of December, something to keep an eye on. Another reason we're keeping an eye on that is the prediction of the Arctic oscillation. Notice this is 0. Anytime that Arctic oscillation is negative, which the long-range modeling is predicting staying in the negative phase, that is a cold signal as we go through the last 2 weeks of December. Thanks for listening and watching the Day Weather Podcast. Have a great Wednesday.